until the enterprise comes together to solve this problem, this isn't a resourcing challenge. It's an effectiveness challenge of how you're using the resources that you have.
Doug, welcome. Doug, countries around the world are facing growing challenges in keeping military defense aircraft mission ready. What explains that readiness gap? How significant is it?
Yeah. So the gap is quite significant. We're seeing fleets generally across MODs across the world in the 50 to 60% mission capable range, and sometimes even lower, down to 20%, right? So for 1 of every 5 aircraft can fly in that case. Despite investment, right? There's been significant investment in the space over the last decade. In fact, defense spending for operations and maintenance has doubled in the last decade, but readiness has continued to decline. And it's very easy for different elements and functions of the organization to point fingers at one another. Aircrew point at maintainers, maintainers point at suppliers, suppliers point at program offices, program points at budgets. But really, readiness is an enterprise effort. And so our premise is until the enterprise comes together to solve this problem, this isn't a resourcing challenge. It's an effectiveness challenge of how you're using the resources that you have.
So who are you pointing at then? Whose responsibility is this to get this going?
It starts at the top. So this has to start with the senior most leadership in the MODs and in militaries. And really what's essential is they set a very clear North Star that is grounded in operational requirements that the enterprise can rally around. And so that is really step one. And from there, you can assign accountability to the different functions, but they need to be rowing in the same direction.
You said investment is growing, investment in maintenance is growing, and yet you gave that example of 1 in 5 planes, only 1 in 5 planes can fly. That's all mission ready. That's extraordinary.
Yes.
How do you explain that?
The system has generally atrophied over time. And these enterprises have become accustomed to this level of readiness. So there's redundancy built in, but at the end of the day, with the demand we're seeing, given what's going on in the world, they're consuming any readiness that has been built up. And so really, when we approach these problems, we don't think of it as an input problem. We think, and we have seen time and time again, that your next 30 to 50% of readiness improvements require no investment and can be had within 12 months or less. And so what we focus on is the effectiveness of the system. And so those are things like velocity of maintenance, velocity of supply chains, prioritization, where you focus those scarce resources, demand reduction, right? How do we take demand out of the system so that we get more out of the maintenance capacity and the supply capacity that we do have? And then, of course, accountability. And that's kind of where the enterprise lens comes in, how you set up the operating model and system that holds these different functions accountable to their part of the puzzle that you need to put together.
What would your message to defense leaders be then?
Advocate for more resources in the long term. Of course, more resources help, but look inward. The focus should be more in the short term on getting effectiveness out of the organizations that you have, applying proven commercial best practices to the defense industry, and really expecting outcomes from your organization and not allowing them to use resourcing as an excuse for poor outcomes.
Doug, thank you so much for your time.